All right, I think we're live.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if we are live. I know that comments take a little minute to catch up with everybody, so excited to be talking audiobooks tonight.
Yay! I have my notes.
Oh my gosh.
I had to get ready beforehand.
Me too.
Well, I knew I might be imbibing, so I was like, let me pre-answer the question.
You have to have all your answers written down before I start asking questions. Juliette, we have questions for you too from your fans. I'm so excited. All right, guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about audiobooks and also celebrating the release of Juliette Cross's new audiobook, Wolf Gone Wild. I'm so excited about it. So if we want to go around and introduce ourselves, of course, I'm Jessen from Jessen Reads Romance. I also co-host a podcast with Juliette, Smart Women Read Romance.
And I'm Jen from the Book Refuge, and somehow I'm friends with these awesome people. So I'm here to punch out with my expertise, and there you go.
Awesome. I'm Juliette, and I'm author of paranormal and fantasy romance and contemporary in the future.
I'm Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life. I talk about romance books, and I am a huge fan of Wolf Gone Wild and Juliette.
Yes. I'm Tiffany. I go by Neverlandpixy on Instagram, where I just talk about books, ramble, push the platform to its limits. And I am so excited to celebrate this audiobook because it was so good.
Aw.
It was so good.
Thanks, guys.
I'm so excited. So I'm kind of like a newbie to audiobooks. I've only been listening to them for like half of a year. So I'm pretty new, and so is Juliette. And I'm so excited to talk about like more longtime listeners of audiobooks. I can't wait. And if you have any questions for us about audiobooks that you want us to answer, drop them down in the comments, or even specifically for Juliette. So in a minute, she's going to be answering some questions about her Stay a Spell series, which I'm excited about. Also, be sure to stay tuned because later we're going to have some giveaways. Some audiobooks are up for grabs. Some signed books are up for grabs. So I'm excited about that too. All right, guys. Juliette, I'm putting you on the hot seat first.
Oh, God. Okay.
We have some questions.
Okay.
So, first question is, do you plan to write short stories for Stay a Spell? Even holiday stuff?
Yes. I actually will be writing them this month because I am releasing my holiday anthology for Stay a Spell in October, and it is called Walking in a Witchy Wonderland. And I'm so excited because I'll be writing my first MM. Charlie and JJ are going to get their love story.
I'm so excited about Charlie.
I'm nervous, but like super excited at the same time. Yeah. And then the others will be shorts about the couples that you've met. And then you'll actually get a sneak peek at Livy and her man, who I'll let you know is a Grim Reaper, but not one you've met. Not one you've met. So until witches get stitches. So yeah.
Sorry, Ollie's being very loud right now, but
I just love all of
just wanted to point out
expressions. She's just like so expressive. It's great.
So Livy's book 4, correct? The one that comes after Witches Get Stitches?
Yes, always practice safe text is Livy.
So that's going to be sneak preview in your holiday anthology?
Yes.
I'm excited because I don't know, well, they don't know who her love interest is, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Jeez.
I'm excited.
All right, next question.
So
Yeah.
secretive.
Yes. So, does your husband read your books?
No. No. He is 100% my support system. Like, I love it because right now he's a teacher and I'm a teacher, our day job. So he's now in summer dad mode, which means he basically makes all my snacks while I write. I've become a full-time writer over the summer, which is great. The only thing is if I leave like my manuscript like up and he comes in, sometimes he will leave sentences for me in my text. Things like, you know, then she said, Kevin, give it to me good, or let me feel your big throbbing member, or, you know, things along that nature. You have to know my husband.
She sent me one of them one time. You were like, I left my computer for just like a second and I come back and look what he put on my computer. And it's funny.
Crazy. And then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta delete all this crap and go back. But anyway, yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if that like made it through to like your first edit?
Kevin, is this guy? You know? Yeah, he likes to insert himself in, you know, whatever. He's crazy.
He is crazy. Love a support system though. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. Tell us something about Ruben and Jules.
Okay. This is hard because I don't want to say much. I can tell you that they were together 10 years ago, but I'm not going to tell you how together. And I can tell you that Ruben has been pining for her for a decade. And their book will probably be, if any book will like bring tears to your eyes, it's going to probably be their book. So, yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm prepared.
Wait, okay. I just got to insert myself here. Why didn't we make Juliette drink all of her drink before we started asking questions?
I know. I'm coming later.
Listen, you planned this poorly.
I know. I planned it perfectly so that she didn't give away all the secrets.
I do want to read them. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. And one last question before we move it on. This is a good segue. Did you get to listen and choose your narrators? And can Aiden Snow record my voicemail?
I did. Podium Audio has been incredible. This is the third audio publisher I've worked with, and the only one that honestly has actually worked with me as far as like asking which narrators I would like. And so originally, and honestly, it's so funny you asked this because I wasn't listening to audiobooks, so I didn't even know who was popular. Like I was like, okay, let me do some research and figure this shit out. I don't know. And I recommended a narrator, James Larceny, who did Darkest Heart. He also goes by Sebastian
York
Beck, I think, or something. I don't know. Sebastian something is his other pseudonym, but he was unavailable. And then they gave me some suggestions, and Aiden Snow was in their suggestion. And when I listened to him, I was like, oh, yes, please, him, please. And then I found out that apparently he's like super popular. And I'm thrilled because I got him and Johanna Fairview. She also goes by Joy Nash. She's done a great job. Like I was so happy with their coupling for Evie and Mateo. I was ecstatic, you know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Ashley.
You got that low register.
Oh, look.
I was very
That's what I needed. Like, I don't know, my werewolves have like a lot of testosterone going on with them, and like I expect them to be a little bit more growly. And like I thought he did a great job.
Robust. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I tell you that while I've been editing Witches Get Stitches, I keep looking at lines. I'm like, okay, I definitely want to hear Aiden Snow to say that. And like, what else can I add in here just to hear him say shit? Because
that's so perfect. I have another question that says, will you have the same narrators for Don't Hex and Drive?
I have the same.
So it's the same for the whole series.
Yep. And I have a release date for Don't Hex and Drive. Do you want to save that for later?
No, you can tell them. Tell them when Don't Hex and Drive's coming out for audio.
July 6th. So in July.
That's so soon.
Yep.
I know.
And they're also hounding Juliette for her Witches Get Stitches manuscript to record that too.
I know.
Come on, get it to him.
I know. I told them June 1st. I'm like, I'm almost there. I'm just making sure everything is as perfect as I can get it.
I don't
want to rush you.
So bad.
You do what you need to do.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you.
You want to come stay up in the wasteland so no one bothers you for
Actually, that would be amazing.
Come on up to the cabin on Gull Lake and we'll keep you isolated.
That would be awesome.
I saw a couple authors will post on like Instagram and stuff being like, I went away for like the weekend. I rented a room at a hotel so that I can just like write. Have you ever done anything like that, or you just go with the flow with all of your hectic life around you?
I have not, but like I'm so jealous. Like I saw Kerrigan Byrne and Cynthia St. Aubin. They're like best friends, and they're going away. They found like a cabin to go away, and they showed like pictures of their and it's like all these woods and stuff. Right. I'm so jealous. Like I want to do that so badly. Mm-hmm. When I'm a full-time writer, I will definitely be doing that. I am doing a writer's retreat with my friends at the end of July. I don't know if I told you that one of them has a house in Branson, and she kind of lives in a secluded area that's really nice. And so we're just going to have a retreat at her house.
Okay. Nice.
Sounds lovely. Take away all the alcohol so you can get the work done, though.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
I mean, wow, I just forgot what I was going to say. In the days of like Airbnb, you know, it's easier than you think to just,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you can find a place anywhere you want, basically.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mhm.
And like reasonably priced and just like in cool places. Yeah.
Write off expenses. That's
Absolutely.
work.
100%. Yes, we're deducting that. I'm going to come visit you and I'll deduct the whole trip.
Yeah.
It's for work. It's for work.
Jessen is your creative muse, so she can come too.
Personal assistant?
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, Jess, we need to go to NOLA and then we'll just write that off the whole weekend, you know?
So that was something that we did for Wolf Gone Wild. We went to New Orleans and we brought Wolf Gone Wild so I could take pictures of it. And we wanted to do it for Don't Hex and Drive, but then with all the lockdown, we couldn't do it. So we're might be doing it for Witches Get Stitches. We don't know because everything's kind of opening back up finally in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. All right, guys. I want to know how long you all have been listening to audiobooks. Like, how long have y'all been in this game? Because I'm a newbie.
Yeah, let the experts go.
I think for at least 2017, I had just gotten into university and I think Audible Escape launched, but at the time it wasn't called Audible Escape. It was like Audible Romance or something like that. And that's when I started listening to audiobooks, and it was perfect for me because I had a full curriculum and I could just like sit and listen. And like the only physical thing I would read would be like bite-sized things like Jessica Canes. So I started maybe about, I think it's been about like 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of
you, Jen?
Well, I've been listening to audiobooks for 7 years, but I've only been listening to romance. Yeah, I've only been listening to romance for like 2 years. So I mostly used it for, it started with just listening. Well, I can say that. It started, I was like, there's other questions. I was like, am I jumping ahead? I listened to all the Harry Potter books.
Oh, nice.
For a reread. And then the other series I did it for was I listened to the entire Poldark series, which there's actually 12 books in that.
Oh, wow.
Because after I watched the first season of that show, I was like, what? Because it has a cliffhanger. And so I listened to all of his books, which were fantastic. So that's what I started with. I was only listening to like one a month because I would listen to them just in the car to and from school. But I mean, yeah, but for 6 years, but not romance until like 2 years ago. So.
What about you, Crystal?
Well, I win. I win this. Since 2004 is when I started listening to audiobooks. And it was because we were newly married. We had a little boy and we would go on road trips. You know, that would be the thing that we would do. And so I remember I'm so like I checked out the Harry Potter audios on CD and played them in the car on CD. Those were the first audiobooks that we listened to, and listened to those over and over and over again. And then whenever Audible like first happened, I've had Audible since its like inception. My library is gigantic. So I've always kind of had an audiobook that I'd listen to, but I really would kind of just do it like every once in a while. You know, if we went on long car trips with the kids, that's kind of how I got them into reading too. Like we'd go on car trips and they'd get to pick the audiobook and things like that. But probably it was fun. Like it was a good way to, like, especially because we did a lot of driving to like their lessons and whatever, you know. But it wasn't until like Audible Escape happened that I really started listening to it, like finish one and then pick another one, because before that it was just like, I have 1 credit a month so I can listen to one audiobook a month, you know.
I miss Audible Escape.
I know.
I was about to say Audible Escape is a thing that they canceled last year, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it canceled in November.
And everybody was freaking out about it. And I was like, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
It was so great.
It's best you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
It was just all.
Yeah. I only started listening to romance before then. And then finally I started Audible Escape, and then it was gone 4 months later. And I was just getting into it, and then it took it away from me.
Yeah, it's sort of like any play, wasn't it? Like you could basically listen to as many as you could, you know, wanted.
Yeah, it was totally unlimited. As long as they had it in the catalog, you could listen to it. So it was great.
Yes.
Tons of indie authors.
That sounds what I.
Audiobook. Any play, like, once they get the bugs shook out of it, any play will be better. Like, if it could go faster and if it didn't, like, glitch sometimes, it would be perfect.
Did you, because I try, whenever I have the glitches, I try to, like, get them on chat and be like, this is happening. Because I've been having where I'm in chapter 12, supposed to be going to chapter 13, and then it'll bump me back to chapter 10.
It did that to me recently.
No!
Yeah, I was listening to Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas, and it did that to me, and I got all aggravated. I was like,
It'll just, like, take away the, like, chapters from me or something. Or currently it's not letting me, like, because when I finish a book, I want to remove it from my playlist, and it, like, doesn't. But literally, I don't care. Like, honestly, I'm like, so what if my playlist ends up having 200 books on it? I don't care. Like,
so I guess, what's the platform that everyone uses the most to listen to their audiobooks?
Libby, Audible, Libby and Audible. I also use Scribd from time to time. I have a hate-love relationship with Scribd, but I, like, keep it around. It's really been Anyplay and Libby. I love Libby. I finally got it set up, and I'm like, this is what everyone's talking about. It's so nice to be able to listen.
And Libby's the library one, right?
Yes.
Libby is great as long as your library has a good selection. Like, I live in an area that doesn't have a great selection of romance books, but one of our, like, I have 2 library cards. So I use Libby. Hoopla is another library one that you can use where it's kind of like an unlimited thing where you have an unlimited amount of books you can check. Well, no, you have like 8 or 9 that you can listen to in a month. And then Scribd and Audible. Audible and Libby are probably the 2 I use the most, though.
So I haven't used Scribd, so I don't know if any plays like Scribd.
No.
Anybody want to answer this question?
Tori, so the way that it is, like, it's not like Scribd because it literally is unlimited. They don't have as big of a library as Audible because they need to have deals with the Audible publishers to be able to have the book. But if the book is on there, you can have it. Like, you don't run into any roadblocks for how many you can listen to, but it does have limitations currently that you can't go past 1.75 speed, which does make a lot of people mad. Like, that's generally where I listen to it, but they have a huge historical library. They have a lot of fantasy books. They have a lot of romance. You just have to kind of look by author. It's a new app. They only started it a little while ago.
Yeah.
But they had reached out to me to check it out for free, but I think it's $15 a month, or if you go quarterly, it's like $10 a month if you do like a 3-month grab of it. But I've been super happy with it because they have like the side changelings on there. They have a bunch of Lorraine Heath, and I can't list everybody, but it has like a ton of stuff on there. But yeah, it does still have some glitches because it's new. Whereas like Audible,
but like the unlimited is like worth it. Like, you don't get cut off.
You're unlimited.
And they're constantly adding titles. Like the Holman of North series is on there.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Barbarians are all on there.
Yeah,
all
like
Dixon.
It's great.
And they even had like new releases like right away, like Wild Child by Eloisa James. Like as soon as that one released, that was on there. So yeah, I'm loving it. That's like my favorite thing to listen on right now, just because I feel like I'm getting books free, even though I pay for a subscription. Yeah. It's like, because the amount of books I'm listening to, I'm like, this is so worth it.
It's like KU.
So worth it.
It's just like when you're reading books for free on KU, right. But
yeah. I mean, Audible, of course, still has the biggest because they were first and they have most people's. But Anyplay is growing. Scribd is good. If you only listen to 2 or 3 audiobooks a month, you don't listen to 50 the way we do, like Scribd is a good option, you know. But I literally listen.
I listen to too many books.
I would listen to all of them. I'm like annoyed when I don't have an audiobook now. Like it takes me to read it. So
I guess that's my next question too. How often do y'all listen to audiobooks? Like every single day? Do y'all have multiple audiobooks going at the same time?
If not every day, every other day I'm listening to something.
I listen daily. I listen in the car on the way to work. I listen at work, and then I listen. If I want to play a game on my phone, I'm listening. Usually at night, I read a physical book or read Kindle, but I'm listening during the day all the time. So
yeah, I listen pretty much nonstop is like if I'm like working or doing errands, or I mean I have a job where I can listen and work, or pretty much every daytime hour when I'm not like interacting with people, I'm listening to an audiobook. That's actually how I get most of my reading done, is through audiobooks. I probably only physically read one book a week.
Yeah. And those
It's audiobooks for me have been the game changer because I'm able to listen while I work. I can listen to a whole book while I'm working just for one day. That's how I binged the Maiden Lane series so fast. I did the audio for every single book, and I was just like starting it right at 7. I was like finishing it by like 4, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
Book done.
It's been good for me because I'm an itinerant teacher, so I go from school to school. I teach gifted kids, like it's a pull-out program, and I'm a little bit farther away from the district where I teach, so I have a bit of a commute. And since I discovered like audiobooks, I am hooked. And honestly, I've only been listening for a couple of months, like since like 2021, about the same time as Jessen. And Jessen was even more hardcore than me. She was like, you've got to try this one. You've got to try this one, you know.
I can't believe, like, honestly, because Jessen, you and I and Juliette and I, we started talking back in like November, and I could not believe you weren't listening to audiobooks. Like, I honestly was like, what?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I had casually picked up an audiobook every once in a while, but for me, and this is a question for later, but we can talk about this right now, some of the audiobooks that I was picking up made me not like the books because I didn't like the narrator. And I was just like, I don't like this. This is not how my character sounds. And so I had I was very picky about my narrators.
Yeah.
And then I would pick it up in paperback or an ebook, and I was like, oh, I like it so much better whenever I can create the voices in my own head. So that's why it took me so long to get into audiobooks, because I was being such a snob. And like, I don't even know why.
Narrator snob.
I'm like, Jessen, you're being ridiculous. Stop being so snobby.
I'm still a narrator snob, but I think listening to audiobooks, it makes me a better human. Like, I don't mind lines in the grocery store, traffic, waiting on hold, listening to
Grocery store
music on hold on like calls. Like, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I can listen to an audiobook and I'm so much more pleasant and like forgiving, you know? I love it.
I love that.
Audiobooks make Tiffany a better person. But honestly, my new favorite place is while I'm grocery shopping. I'll pop in my Bluetooth headphones and I'm just like shopping. I'm like, this is great. I'm like listening to audiobooks.
It's like an introvert's dream because you can just block out the world.
It's not that world, man.
And just go through kind of like a ghost through life.
Yeah.
Listen to your audiobook.
That's a true thing too. I mean, that's something that gets asked to me all the time, is like my speed, because I was someone, I always kept it really low. And I understand why people can listen faster now, because you're reading a book that's a little bit boring, you speed it up so you can get through it, or it's at a really like good part, you slow back down a little bit. You're like, oh, I like this part. It's great. It's great.
What is everyone's average speed that they listen to audiobooks at?
1.75. That's
my gosh.
On any play 1.75, but to be honest, like 2 to 2.6, depending on. Yeah, I mean, if it's Derek Perkins, like if it's a narrator that I know, like I can go up to 2.5, and I'm like, I'm good. I do not go above that if I really want to like it, because I want to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really listen to everything. And if the steam's really good, I'll bump it down a little bit.
Let's slow down that scene, please.
Oh, always. I've literally ran to my phone before and been like, slow down. Because I'll be like, I've been waiting for this part.
Wow, I cannot even imagine. I think it was listening to the North Bend Book 1, 2.6. Y'all are wow.
I mean, it's normal
blowing me away.
Yeah.
I'm like 1.25, 1.5. Like I will not go above 1.5.
Yeah, I always said that.
Dude, the narrator sounds totally Mickey Mouse-ish. I can't. Then I'm just like laughing at their acts. I can't.
The fastest I've ever went was 2.3, and that was for one where I feel like they had slowed down the audiobook. So like the
Some
one,
of them do sound like that. If you listen to it at normal speed, it's like, did they really talk this slow to record
that
this?
happened. Funny side story. That happened with, I was listening to a Max Monroe book on Anyplace. So my max is 175. And I was like, man, it sounds like they're tortoises. So I literally paid for the book on Amazon so that I could put it at 2.5 and finish listening to it. Because I was like, oh my God, they're talking so slow.
Like,
oh my God, minimum of 2.5.
I'm impressed
Minimum.
with these numbers because that's just
I get that.
wow. Wow.
I think a 2 is my average speed. 1.8 if it's like if they have an accent, then I usually slow it down to 1.8. But if it's just something that I'm used to hearing, then a 2. And honestly, anything below that I struggle with because it just sounds so slow. But I have only started getting up that high. Like I was at like 1.25 forever. It seemed like. You know?
I'm a newbie.
And then you just gradually bump it up.
Exactly. I'm a newbie with audiobooks, so.
Mm-hmm.
It'll slowly start to pick up.
I usually start an audiobook at 1.8, like on Audible. I'll start off at 1.8 so I can like get a feel how fast these people talk. But I will bump it up to 2.3 most of the time unless somebody has an accent. I remember I was listening to a book by KJ Charles, and this guy was British, but he did other accents for other characters. And I was like, I totally missed what he was saying. I have to go back. So I was like, I got to slow this book way, way, way down.
Yeah.
I was
Stassi was asking about tips to get into audiobooks because she can't get past chapter 1.
What?
So if you guys have tips on like how to get into them.
I think that I like do something that you enjoy. Like maybe it's like, I know a lot of people do like diamond painting or they sew or something like with their hands. If you have downtime, like something like that you could do. I know a lot of people love games on their phone. I know Jen does, and I do too, but it has to be like a game that doesn't require brain power, like Tetris or something like that, like a dummy game, you know, like because I can't concentrate on both at the same time. But
yeah.
Does anyone have an opinion with male narrators versus female narrators? Do you like one more than the other?
Do we want to move into like our favorites? Is that what you want?
Yeah. Do y'all have some favorites that y'all want to mention for both male and female? Yes. Give me your list.
Jessen doesn't know people's names. Like she was annoying me the one day because she's like, I don't know who you mean. I was like, Jessen. that's the one from that book.
Y'all, they're like fans.
If you tell me the book that they narrated, then I'll be able to know exactly who you're talking about. But I'm such a newbie. I don't know.
Okay, I think the collective romance lovers can agree that Shane East is the best.
I'm trying to think if I read anything by him.
I've heard his name.
What does he narrate?
Jen even found that he has merch. That cracked me up, and she's like, he has merch.
I saw Bree got some of his merch.
He also narrates YA like fantasy books, and his name is Steve East. Which I did not know that as a kid, when I first started listening to books, I loved the narrator Steve East. Then I'm listening to romance. I was like, oh, I love this voice. And then it clicked for me that I'm like, Steve East or Steve West and Shane East are the same person. But you're not supposed to say that. So pretend I didn't say that. Don't spread it around. But also, he didn't try very hard with his. So I'm not like, it's not the same as some other people who really try different names. But okay, I said one. Maybe we should like rotate because I could list all of them and I feel like they'll be yours. So the other people who know.
So are we saying like favorite audiobook as well or just narrator right now?
We're just doing
narrator.
Okay, so mine, well, I'm going to say Aiden Snow, but also I love...
Shout him out.
I'm sorry, y'all. His voice is hot as fuck. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, we agree.
Also, Sebastian York.
Yep.
I'm
playing bingo. I'm checking.
Love his voice. And I love how he just does the other voices. He does everything right. And it's kind of like Heather's saying here, it makes her laugh when males do female voices. When they do it well, it's like so good, you know? and it does take skill. Like, it's a definite talent. This is performance acting, you know. So
Yeah. There are some male narrators, and I think someone mentioned that there's some male narrators that I like their female voices better than the female they're in the book with. So that's kind of answering that question. Like, I was listening to one romance, particularly, it's called The Chase. I was just listening to The Chase by Al Kennedy, and the girl was doing the stupidest Valley Girl voice. I'm sorry, not naming names of who that person was, but the guy narrating, when he would have his chapters, he would do the girl's voice so good that I was like, I just want to listen to him narrate the whole book. Like, she'll pop in and do this stupid, like, poppy Valley Girl voice. And I was like, why are you making your own self sound dumb? Like, I don't want to hear your sound dumb.
yeah, Jacob Morgan is another one that I've heard a lot of.
Yep.
I saw about him mentioned.
Okay, sorry. Crystal.
Okay, I'm going to go down through my favorites. I don't have like 10, but I do have a few. So Wen Ross and Kai Kennicott are a duo. They're a man and a woman. They're partners, and they only narrate books together. So they narrated the first Filthy one and also the Soul series by Kennedy Ryan. That one, they narrated that one, which I love them. Robert Petkoff for Immortals After Dark will always and forever be
I have him on
favorite
my list
narrator.
too.
He's so good. My favorite female narrator is Justine Iyer, who does the historicals.
Yes.
She's the best for sure.
Jessen, don't even talk. No.
I didn't say anything. I did not say anything.
She doesn't like.
She was mean to her.
Jacoby, I'm not sure how to say his name. The one that does Grip
Jacoby.
and is in Real.
Ew,
He's my
I
favorite.
want to hear Grip in audiobook.
Oh my
Jacoby.
gosh, you have to hear it. You have
Yes.
to. And then Jason Clark, who did Maxim in All the King's Men. He's one of my favorites too.
Yeah,
He's
I've heard his name too.
I'm done.
Well, I held off my list. You go ahead, and then I'll
I
wrap
have
up.
two that haven't been mentioned. So I will say again, I love Roxy Isles. She did Sea of Ruin. She's also done a lot of Joanna Shoots, like Scandalous Deal. I love her freaking voice. Okay. Derek Perkins, I love him because he's able to like just speak to the nuances in dialect, especially with historical. I know someone's station before the story is unfolded because of the way that he embodies their voices, the Scottish brogue, like he's just luscious. So I love him, and I love Roxy Isles. I was sailing the freaking high seas with Sea of Ruin. That's probably one of my favorite audiobooks. And I feel like I'm listening to an entire cast with both of them.
Wow.
They can carry it. It's their choices too, because a lot of times the choices really take me out of the story. I love what they do every single time. Those are the two that I haven't heard, because of course Aiden Snow, of course Sebastian York, like, you know. But
I have a bunch more now. I thought we were going to take turns going through people, and everyone's listed never. It's
You
okay.
can blame me for that. I
No,
can't
it's
get
okay.
a word in sometimes, y'all.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Well, we tried, Crystal, but you're so sweet.
I'm just politely letting you speak, and I don't want to cut in, but
You have to. I'm allowed now. Okay, so the boys that I still have left. Simon Preble does the Stephanie Lawrence.
Stephanie Lawrence.
He's amazing.
I know that one.
Yeah.
Oliver Pembroke, which he did all the Poldark books, as I shared at the beginning, and he did that entire series, and it's absolutely wonderful. He does some other books too. That's a historical fiction, but I was here for the romance that was happening in it because it's fantastic. It's my other Outlander, just so y'all know. Poldark is my other Outlander. He's very close to my heart. Teddy Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
He does a ton. And Joe Arden as well. He does a lot. He's great. Those are my boys. Justine Eyre, Rosalind Landor, and Susan Jordan. They do most of the historical female voices that I've listened to. Like they do the Eloisa James and Julia Quinn and everyone else that I just forgot the names of them. Like pretty much they do them. Like we're older historical books. It's done by one of those ladies because they were the ones doing them. Rebecca Solar, who actually does YA, she did all of the Cinder, like all of the Lunar Chronicle books, Marissa Meyer, and I love her. And then CJ Bloom does a lot of.
Yay! I was thinking of her too.
So
I like her too.
Those are just some going through. I went through my like audio library to see who I liked, but
I did that too. I was like, which
just-
books did I really enjoy listening to?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly what I did too.
One of the things I love about, which I know this is too dark for some people, but one thing I loved about Pam Godwin's Deliver series is literally every favorite male narrator that I have was like in that series at one point. And it was the best, like all of them were in one of the books or the other. So
That's awesome.
I wanted to go back to this one because I find that if I have like a completely female narrated historical, I don't know if it's like just the older ones, but sometimes I feel like the narrator sounds like a lot older than what the character is, and it makes it sound like an old, madam, and she's just like very prim and proper, and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
But
I
I've heard a lot of people.
Yeah, and then the
struggle with
heroine sounds
historical
weird when she does the heroine voices. I had that recently. Yeah.
see, and
But
this was one of Justin's questions that we didn't get to, is if someone ruins a book for you. And so My Darling Duke wasn't ruined for me, but The Raquel of Roth was one that recently I liked the first book in the series, which was The Beast of Bezek. But the second one, the choices that the narrator made, I didn't agree with. And she actually totally ruined that book for me. And it probably got a full star less than it would have if I read it myself. So that's jumping ahead a little bit, but I agree with your comment a lot.
I'm very picky. I hate that I'm like that. I don't know if it's because I was a drama kid or what, but like the voice, it needs, I'm very big on like choices.
Yeah.
So I will stop and just read the ebook.
Yep.
So that I don't.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys too. Like, if you're not enjoying the audio and you think that maybe you would enjoy it better in paperback or ebook, would y'all do that instead, or would you just like write off the book and be like, no?
No, I've done that recently. Yeah.
I would if I had time to do that, honestly. Honestly, if I had my choice, I would only physically read, like a paperback or an ebook. That's what I would prefer. But who has time to do that usually, So I have to listen to audiobooks, or I will read maybe one book a week. So I find that because that's the only way I get to enjoy books, I'm much less picky about narrators. So it has to be like a real terrible narrator for me to just be like, I can't listen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Jen. I think that one of the more recent ones, because I struggled to get into audiobooks before I started like really binging them. And half the reason why I started listening to audiobooks too is to keep up with Jen, because she kept telling me all the books she was reading. And I'm just like, how am I supposed to fit this on my TBR? I cannot read all of these physically. So I had to start like pushing them on audio. But the Raquel of Roth, I don't know, that was just, like Jen said, like the way they chose to read the lines, I was like, that's a weird choice. I don't like that.
Listen,
But then,
what was the first one? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what was the first one that got you back into it? Because I can't remember. Were you doing Cora Riley, or like what was it?
this is my favorite. I have this question for later if you guys have a favorite audiobook, but this literally, I was like, oh, now I have to listen to audiobooks because I enjoyed it so much. It was The Stopover and The Takeover.
Yeah.
I was just like, why was this so good? And that was Sebastian York for the win, because he literally was like, you must listen to audiobooks. See how well I did this? And I was like, yeah.
Look, I have never laughed out loud so much in my car. People must have thought something was wrong with me. I was listening to that in my car. Oh my God. That's my favorite, is The Takeover. It was hilarious.
I didn't know that was the first one.
But you know what? This is something that I noticed, is I feel like if you have really good narrators, and the thing is, like Tiffany said, if she has a drama background, then she knows like audio, it's a performance.
Yeah.
And you have to have the skill to do this. And if you do, you can make the book better. And funnier. And like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, when I was listening to Wolf Gone Wild, I'm like, it wasn't this funny, but like the way he's saying it is so funny.
Stop it.
Like, it's like, it's funnier when they say it than when it's like read.
It was just as funny.
It was
just
fine.
hearing it in your head.
Waller sweet, but I thought it was better. And
I bet for you, it was getting to experience your own work like it wasn't yours a little bit.
Exactly.
It was, because you're like, this is a creator who isn't me, who's like giving it back. So I'm sure that was a different experience than spending months with it, Oh, yay. Sorry. Everyone's giving me all the feels.
But like Jen had recently like pretty much gushed about when she was reading Devil's Bride for the first time. She listened to the audio and she was like, wow, this dude, he's like getting it. So I listened to it and I was like, I literally had goosebumps during like the forest scene where his horse rears up and I was just like, I feel like I'm in the forest.
That was so good.
Wasn't it? I felt like it was like a Shakespearean actor who came into audiobooks or something.
It's so atmospheric. He makes them, because those ones are all mysteries, but with more romance than like a cozy mystery would have. And I was excited to read that book and I plopped it on, and in literally within 5 minutes of his voice, I was like, stopped what I was doing to listen. And if an audiobook makes me stop everything, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh shit, this is going to be good. So.
And I get addicted to that feeling. I get like, when I just get enraptured, I'm just like, oh my God, I love that feeling.
I mean, this is like all of these, like listening. I didn't read these physically. I listened to every one of these. I would never
have listened to all of them.
I would have.
I wish I listened.
So
I listened just to the last 3 in audio, and I was like listening to Sweet Ruin, and I'm just like, this guy's a genius. I love Sweet Ruin. It was the best, and I was like, Robert Petkoff. Wow,
amazing. Someday. I know you do not have time, but like listening to the.
I would. I have been for like pretty much all the podcast books that we've been doing. They're all rereads for me, and I've been listening to all of them on audio now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's my favorite. It's my favorite way to reread something right now, especially whenever like I have like a deadline or something that I need to reread a book for something. For a book club, for the podcast or whatever, I'm like, it's going on audio now. Like, definitely.
Funny. I know Jen has told me before that she loves listening to historical romance more than reading it in an ebook form. And I find I love listening to historical romance. That's like I think my favorite to listen to.
Yeah, that was another one of my questions. Do you have a certain genre that's like, this is my I have to listen to it in audio? Is there something specific or a genre that you can't listen to in audio?
Oh.
I listen to so much that it's not genre specific, but there's things that I look forward to. Like in the fantasy, I look forward to like world building through audio. With historical, I look forward to just it's so relaxing.
Yeah.
And then recently, which has led to something really embarrassing, eroticas. Audio too. I look forward
I can't wait. I can't wait till we get to that question.
Anyway,
I really sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, it's your turn. If you're talking, I'm shutting up.
I really love, like, honestly, kind of the only way that I really enjoy reading this genre anymore is through audiobooks, and that's thrillers. Like, I love listening to thrillers through audiobook because it feels so much more like immersive and creepy, and it just feels like more of an experience. And a genre I really don't like, and this could be just because I have kids, is middle grade, because the actors in general have just the most annoying voices. I just can't even handle it. So I don't like listening to middle grade very much.
Is it because they're doing like younger voices and you don't like the way they do younger voices?
Or they're just really like exaggerating the voices to keep the kids engaged. And like my kids really, and not all of them, but in general, if I was going to dislike a narrator, it was usually a middle grade book because they're just like over the top. And I'm like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
I love historicals and audio. I don't even know why. It's just so beautiful to listen to, I guess. And also I just am a sucker for like the British accent as well. But I don't dislike listening to fantasy and audio, but I will at least start the book where I'm listening to the audio and I'm reading it at the same time, especially if they have like complicated names, like made up names for like made up worlds, or like some sort of like they have to build up the magic and the rules and stuff. I rather read that a little. So I like to either start off reading it and then get into the audio so that I'm like solid with all of that. But I love listening to fantasy once I know what's going on. It's very cool.
Right. So for me, like I had said too, I started listening 7 years ago, and I was pretty much just listening to fantasy books. That's what I would do. I would read my my dirty books to myself. It wasn't until honestly, it wasn't that I was ashamed to be reading them. It was that I didn't think I'd want to listen to them read to me. I didn't know how I would feel about a sex scene being read to me. But then after listening to some Sarah J. Maas books, I was like, well, if I can handle this, maybe I'll try this. And then that's when I tried some like Audible escape books. And I was like, oh, well, this is great. And a lot of contemporary romances are pretty short audiobooks.
Right.
They're not as like long, so there'd be like a 5-6 hour book. And if I'd speed that up to 1.5, I could listen to 1 or 2 of those a day. So, but anyway, I started with fantasy, and I pretty much, the first 4 years I listened, I was only listening to fantasy. It was just how I got through them, because I would listen to them, like I said, from work and home. And then once I was home, I would just read a book. Yeah. It wasn't until I started really, really listening all the time was when I started working from home, because I was sitting at my desk and I would have it going. So anyway.
Can I ask a question? Because I was just thinking about this. Do y'all find that audiobooks have become more popular, like within the past couple of years? I mean, do y'all think it's become more prevalent just in general?
I think so. I would say yes.
I think there's more available than ever before in audio. It's kind of expected now.
I feel like, even like honestly, and I know this sounds, I don't know what this sounds like, but like even like with smart cars and stuff, people are listening to podcasts more. They're listening to, so they're straying from just music. Do you know what I'm saying? And then they're listening now. It's like, oh, there are audiobooks available, And I just feel like every time I talk to somebody new, like, oh yeah, I'm listening to an audiobook, like somebody outside the book community. I mean, like just in my everyday life, I'm like, yeah, I was listening to this audiobook in my car, and I'm like, I feel like I'm hearing that more often than I ever did before. And I just didn't know if it was just me or I don't know.
I feel like there's more, particularly because like I've been reading KU for 6 years or whatever. And now that I've started to pay attention to what's available on audio, I feel like there's more romances available on audio than there ever was.
Yeah.
That's popular.
Yeah, romance authors are definitely jumping on board.
Because that was the thing, is like for so many, you couldn't find an audiobook for them. And now I feel like when I grab a Kindle book, I really often see like, do you want the audiobook with it? And usually I'm like, yes, please.
I love whenever you see that reduced price whenever you own it, the ebook already, and it's like, what was the book the other day? I want to say it was Birthday Girl, and I owned it, but it was like, buy it for $1.99. I'm like, oh my god, I got it like on sale. This is great.
I look for those all the time.
Please.
I do too. Yeah.
Because you can go into your Kindle app and see what stuff matches with yours, and I'll look to see what stuff is on sale. And sometimes it'll be for like 99 cents or $2.99, and I'm like, yep.
Grabbing all of these.
And KU and I love that. Oh my god! I love
KU, the free. That's why I listened to the takeover. It's because I got it in KU, and it was like, you have the free audio, and I'm like, do I? Interesting.
Jessen, you told me, you're like, hey, you have it. I'm like, I do. Like, Jessen had to give me instructions, and then I listened to it, and I was like, oh my god, what is this heavenly stuff? Like, seriously.
It is heavenly. So I want to talk about embarrassing moments. Has anybody had an embarrassing moment to do with audiobooks? Because a lot of times in contemporary romance, there will be, I laugh every time that there's a scene in contemporary where the character is listening to audiobooks, and like it all of a sudden everyone can start hearing it. And I'm like, this is so funny. Has this happened in real life? So I want to know.
I feel like this happens to iPhone owners, because it doesn't happen to Android. If your earbud comes out at all, it immediately cuts off. So I've never had this embarrassing moment at all, because if my thing comes unplugged at the gym or it dies, it shuts off whatever you have playing. So I don't have this happen to me. So I'm excited to listen to it.
Well, this happened to me recently. I'm not embarrassed about what I read. So like, up until a couple months ago, I would say like, no, like, and that's happened where people have overheard what I'm listening to, and I'm like, Katie Robert, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. This time, I was listening to Your Dad Will Do. Katie Robert had just gotten uploaded on AnyPlay, and I went to get like an upper GI, which is like a stomach X-ray, at the same hospital that my dad worked at. So I'm listening to it in the waiting room. They take me back. I have an iPhone and I'm listening to it on my AirPods, and I have my phone in my purse. And so when you take the earbud out, it stops. So she's explaining the procedure and giving me a gown and like pointing to the restroom for me to go change. So I go into the restroom and I put my earbud back on and I'm listening to it. And like my AirPods die.
Yeah.
And so my freaking audiobook is playing at maximum volume from my purse. And Shane's talking about how she's such a pretty slut and she's going to have to like earn his top. And so I'm like hurrying up, trying to like just like loosely tie the gown and get out there. When I get out there, yeah, because my phone was in my purse and I could hear it, you know? And then I get out to the next room. It's not only the nurse, it's my dad's friend, who's my doctor, standing there and they're looking around. And he's like, nice to meet you. And I'm like, hi. And then I'm trying to get to my freaking phone. And they're like getting into their 3-day weekend and what the rules are going to be. And I'm trying not to flash them because I couldn't freaking talk. I didn't have it. So I'm like edging the wall, trying to get to my phone and turn off. And then like I went into this awkward Katie Robert promo that they listened to and then just like laughed in my face. And like they were nice about it, but I was mortified. It was the worst possible time for them to be listening. Like, how do you explain that?
Yeah,
that is awesome. I love
There's
it.
no safe part of a Katie Robert. There's no hubby open the door here. There's no safe chapter in a Katie Robert.
No,
that's one of her shorts. In the shorts, there's no safe place.
You have to earn it, Sweet Pea. And I was like, oh my God. Like, you couldn't be getting her substance at this moment? Like, no. They were like full on going through the fantasy. And it's like, was clear that that was her ex-fiance's dad. And I was like, oh my God.
Tiffany had to explain her kinks a little more honestly than she wanted to.
Wow.
And like word vomit. I'm like, it's a taboo series. And what's really taboo? It was so embarrassing.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Workplace. That's embarrassing. Your dad will do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Juliette, do you have any embarrassing audiobook stuff? No.
I only listen to mine in my car, so it's just me
her.
and me in my car. I can listen to whatever I want. All good.
I have not had like an audiobook play in public, like from my phone in my purse or anything, but I was at like a really steamy scene whenever I was on the way to a store. And so I was sitting in the parking lot and it was attached. It was like the audio was coming from like my actual car. And I had it up pretty loud. And I guess I wasn't thinking about like, I'm just sitting here and like I have my audio pretty loud. And it was at the like pinnacle of the sexy moment. And I saw this lady like walk by and she was like, and I was like, can she hear? I was like, can she hear? I was like, she can hear.
Thumbs up.
No.
Yeah, baby.
She was like,
Listen to
yeah.
that romance.
I know what you're listening to. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about how loud it would be. I'm like thinking, I'm in my car. I'm safe. Nobody can hear this. They heard it.
Do the face again. Do the face. I want to see it again.
I was like, she was like,
that was a kindred spirit right there.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
If
Right.
she was like, you get it, girl. I was like, oh God.
I'd be like,
I have a recommendation.
So I haven't had as embarrassing. I think Tiffany wins the most embarrassing. But you know, like my phone, I have an Android too, and my phone is auto-connected to Bluetooth to my truck. So if I'm listening to it in the house and one of my, you know, like my oldest kid or my husband starts the truck and I'm within range listening to an audiobook, it will.
Oh, yes.
So that's
right.
happened more times than I would like to admit. And a few have been right in the middle of, and I'm just like, this is bad.
the boys know what mom listens to.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure they were mortified.
Yeah.
That is too funny. Too funny. All right. I mentioned my favorite audiobooks. Does anybody have like a specific book that they're like, this is like top-notch audiobook?
I do. And it's interesting because Still by Kennedy Rand is my all-time favorite because of the lyrics, and like he will actually like rap to the songs in there, so it has like the
Oh my god.
But it's just like so, and his voice is so perfect when he does the wedding vows. And the funny thing about that is, like, I had just finished reading All the King's Men, and I loved that narrator so much. And so I moved on to the group trilogy. And as soon as I started listening to it, I remember telling Jessen, I don't really like this narrator because it's not Maxim. And so, but then it didn't take me long. And I was like, okay, wait, I really like this narrator. I'm here for group. Yeah. So that's my favorite one of all time. It's perfect.
Wow. And also the story itself does lend itself for great.
Doesn't hurt.
You have
doesn't hurt that it's a really good.
Like that's
I have been traumatized by Grip and Still because I was listening to it at work, and I listened to the second half still at work. And
poor baby.
I'm glad I live alone or I work alone in the basement because I had to step away from my computer. And
y'all, Grip and Bristol. Lord,
I sobbed for that book. Like I was ugly crying. I'm so glad that I was reading it literally in the middle of the night. So I was crying into my pillow.
Yeah.
I was like,
ugly crying.
Yeah. Those certain couple chapters that happened, I was just like,
it was so good.
So good.
And it made me angry at moments too. I was like, yeah, like screw you. Why are you getting in between the relationship? I was getting like just like very like haughty about it at moments, and then I was crying. She was surgical with that freaking book.
She was
surgical with it.
I feel like it was like honestly the perfect romance from slow to still, like all the way through. Like slow by itself to me, that Ferris wheel scene, like fuck, y'all. I mean, oh yeah,
it's so
bawling, poor thing.
Okay.
I want to listen to it in audio now.
Me too.
I do.
Me too.
I need to in audio now. I need
on any play.
Yay!
It's on any play.
Perfect.
Trilogy.
Perfect.
So my favorites aren't actually a romance one, even though like I have favorite romance books, but my favorite audio books ever is the Illuminae Files by J. Kristoff and because it is a full cast with sound effects audio, this space battle and adventure, and it's so good. I re-listened to that, like I'm due for it actually because it's been 2 years since I listened to it now, but I have chills. There's spooky parts of it. There's literally a part of it that there's kind of like these zombified people making their way through this ship, hunting her, and they're using an intercom, and they make it sound like an intercom. And there's this one part where it's like, little birdie, we're coming for you.
Oh my gosh.
Little birdie. And I was like, shit my pants. I was like,
okay, Jen, you have to send me that one because legitimately my older son listens to Audible. He's in the Navy and he downloads them so when he's on the ship he can listen to them, you know.
It's so good.
You have to send me that one. He loves sci-fi and fantasy. That's all he listens to. So.
Yeah, that series too is like even as a romance, because there is a romance in there, even though it's a YA version, because like it's a second chance romance for these kids because they end up on other boats, and like he gets drafted into like the Air Force on it then because everyone has to and like and she's a hacker with like pink hair, and she's a rebel, and she's like, what's happening on the ship? And they have sound effects. There's an AI computer
that is so cool.
That is like trying to save everyone, but is like kind of evil. Like it's fantastic. So that one, like I love a lot of romance books. Obviously, that's my favorite books ever. But for audiobook experience, I will never forget those books. They're so good.
Is that the one with the top secret they have like files in there too?
Yeah. Okay, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Those books were made to be audiobooks.
Right.
Because when you read them, they're literally case files. So there's interviews and there is ship manifests.
Right.
And there's all these things. And so the best experience to read that book is to sit with the book in your hands and listen to it. Because there's
that's
like
what Steph says.
Yeah, because I tried to read that book and I like DNF'd it, just physically read it, because I was like, this is the most boring book I've ever read in my life.
And when you listen to like there's parts where like people will die and they'll list the roll call of everyone who's died, and you're just like goosebumps everywhere. It's amazing. Anyway, I'll send it to you, Juliette, because
Okay.
I've been wanting to listen to this one too. Addie LaRue.
The Addie LaRue one. Is that she goes invisible? Is that the one?
No, they can't
No.
remember her after
Yeah.
this.
Oh, they can't remember her. Okay, I knew it was something.
But it's called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That's why you probably
Okay.
No, Crater
That's
Spirit.
probably
Yeah, I've seen the cover. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's
Yeah, I
interesting.
need to read that.
I've heard it's
If
very
anyone
slow.
has any questions for Juliette too, y'all feel free to put them in the comments as well.
Tiffany, what's your favorite?
Sea of Ruin right now.
Oh,
It's still
Yeah.
Roxy Isles. And, you know,
it's a good one.
yeah, it just was absolutely incredible how she got all those different dialects. And it's also very difficult because there are parts in that book, there is a specific part and that's a beat that's kind of repeated that's difficult to listen to. So, but I mean, I haven't found one. Well, now that Crystal mentioned Still, that would probably be
Oh
the
my
most-
gosh, please do. Yes, Tiffany.
Oh yeah, that absolutely hands down is incredible. And Roxy Isles doing Sea of Ruin was amazing. Like, I'm glad that I listened to it and then I read it and then I've listened and read at the same time. It's just absolutely incredible.
Crystal, have you listened to that one or did you read it?
I only read it.
Okay.
So.
That was our first buddy read we ever did.
Yeah, it was. It was so
It was a
fun.
reread. Yeah, it was a reread for me and I listened to it. And yeah,
Yeah.
you were reading it.
I need a good recommendation for a romance with a Scottish brogue because I just want to hear that shit.
Kerrigan Byrne.
Yes, for
Derek
sure.
Perkins. Derek
Fletcher, Kerrigan Byrne.
Well,
Yep.
I love Kerrigan Byrne. I listened to, I mean, I've read most of her books, but I have not read a lot of her newer ones.
Yeah.
So
Donna Fletcher's on Any Play. She's on
Okay.
Any Play. Mhm.
The Scott one. What the heck is the title of
Yeah.
that Karen Byrne one?
Oh, Scott and Bothered?
Yeah, have you read that one?
I have not, and I haven't read that one.
The audio, he has a Scottish brogue, and it is
That's
very
Derek
good.
Perkins.
Okay.
Yeah, Derek Perkins does all of Kerrigan Byrne's.
Okay, good.
Boom.
I'll just Google him.
And he's a legend.
Oh, the one I'm listening to I'm listening to this series that's a historical erotica romance, and they're all Scottish in that one. That's called The
What?
Villains
Excuse
by
me?
Victoria Vale. Yeah, well, you read it. Why didn't you listen to it? Why didn't you listen to it?
Tiffany.
This is what
I'm like, you didn't tell me?
girl, I
There
said
was
I
a
was listening
comment
to
up
that.
here about a book with a Russian accent.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
Oh, that
The
was
one
the
with
heated
Stacey.
rivalry. I listened to that one on Any Play. Rachel Reed.
I mean,
There's
listen
a
to
Stacey
Mafia.
Reed one with a Russian. Oh yeah, Mafia ones do have.
Has anybody ever listened to The Professional by
Oh, I did.
Is
That
it
was
good?
very good.
Because I love
Mhm.
that book, but I've only read it, and I really want to do that one on the podcast. I told Jessen because I love it so much.
I think
I
it's
really
on
like
there.
that.
It's somewhere. It's
Yeah,
on
So
there.
if it's an audiobook, then I'm going to reread it that way.
It's like a really old audiobook, and so listened to it on Scribd, and so I had to like check out a 2-hour portion. So I'm not sure how it is on other devices.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
looking. It's in September, Juliette. The Professional's in September that we're going to be. So we can listen to that.
Time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I will say that if you listen to Mafia books, you get the good accents. Because,
Yeah.
like the Irish, the Italian.
The Irish.
How
I wanna-
strong are the accents in Filthy?
See, I want to reread all the Filthy books before I read Filthy Hot for the readathon. So
There's only one audiobook though.
Yeah.
no
there's only
accents.
one for Filthy. Oh,
Yeah.
sad.
Okay, there-
sad.
there's
I
third-
always listen to that.
They're second or third generation Irish, so I didn't know if they had accents or not. So
They mention being. I mean, obviously in the book they mention being Irish, but there aren't accents.
not even
Exactly.
Aiden Senior.
I haven't listened to him yet, so I'm not that far. So.
I need a good Russian accent. I want a good Bratva accent.
Yes.
I want
Yes.
it so bad. Oh my
I
god.
know it's very
You
good.
listen
I'm
to
all
Ruthless
into that.
Stranger?
Hmm?
Ruthless Stranger?
Yes. Yes.
Because they're all Russian. So
Jen, can you say the title for the Victoria Vale one?
yes, okay. It is called The Villain and the Dove, and it's Victoria Vale. She has all of her books on audio, and Audible has them in packs, so you can get 1 and 2 for 1 credit, and you can get 3 and 4 for 1 credit.
I love that.
And it's retelling and a sex pack deal, blackmail. Super. Oh, it was so good.
All the good stuff rolled into one.
Tell us how you really feel, Jen. Like,
yeah,
don't
it
hold
was.
back.
It was sexy. Oh my gosh, what's happening?
Oh my God.
Whoa, don't do this to me.
You just opened a can of worms.
I'm right there with you, Key. I'm a beginner.
Sophie
Mafia. I've only
Lark.
read like 5.
Sophie Lark is a fantastic intro. Don't tell.
I
I'm
agree.
getting away from saying Cora Riley now because some people are trying her and not falling in love as much as me. So Sophie Lark is great because she gets right into what's happening. The Mafia terminology isn't too heavy, but it still gives you the vibe that you want. And the entire Brutal Birthright series is fucking phenomenal. So Brutal Prince is book number 1. She's going to be on my channel in 3 weeks. So, try her books. But
And I like how each of her books has like a completely different like vibe. It's just they're so unique, and Cora Riley. Sophie Lark is very good for beginners, I would say.
I think Serena Ackroyd is not too hardcore like that first one.
She's my favorite.
They're almost like sweet mafia guys. They're still badasses, but and they super are pining and love their lady, and I love that.
Yeah.
I'm very much into the hero that wants his lady from day one. So
For sure.
I also would say, okay, I don't know if I'd say Daniel Laurie is a great intro. Just putting my opinion there. I wouldn't put Cora Riley and Danielle Laurie on the same like intro level track. Just my opinion as having read like hundreds of mafia at this point. Sorry to be that
mafia expert.
But I would say that Maggie Cole is too, because Ruthless Stranger, he's more focused on keeping her like away from stuff. It's more about their romance than it is about the mafia part of it. Even though it's called Mafia Wars, they really are.
So is Ruthless Creatures. I feel like that's a pretty good entry for JT Gessinger.
Yes.
Like Juliette found it. Juliette found that book. Just letting
Juliette has her claim to fame, and it's Ruthless.
It is.
Okay.
You can hold back off.
The audiobook just dropped.
I found Cage first. Look, he let her spank him. I'm sorry, spoiler.
I love it.
I love the spanking scenes. I love them.
Wait, Juliette messaged me after this when she's like, "How can I incorporate spanking in my next novel? Like it's gonna happen, Jessen?" I was like, "How are you gonna do it? I don't know."
I'm gonna give a little bit of a spoiler. I actually did, but I'm cutting the scene.
Oh,
because I'm using it in the anthology, the holiday anthology.
Yeah. You found a better use for it.
Yeah, it's only because honestly, the place I put it in needed to be more lovey and less spanky.
It is the lowest like form of kink there is, but I love spanking.
I don't give a shit.
Vanilla.
I love it.
It's just hot, man.
Vanilla. Just smack that. Come on.
Fucking hot. Y'all get over
smack it and rub out the sting.
It has to have that. Has to have it.
Sorry,
rub it out.
Yes, Nico does.
If you and this is why too. To bring it back to audiobooks. Okay, to bring this back to audiobooks. If you're not in this for a hero to say like you've been a good girl, why are you listening to audiobooks? Like it doesn't have to be in every book. But if you can give me a book where he says you've been a good girl, like
I love mine on audio too. Like Aiden Snow saying mine.
Yes.
What?
Oh my God.
That just and Jen alerted me to this because she finished Wolf Gone Wild before I did it. She said, Joanna Fairview's Alpha is good. So when I was on chapter 18, because I marked it and I've gone back to it.
I love it.
Her freaking Alpha, that was so sexy. Just like the yearn in that. And she made Alpha her own because when she's hearing Alpha, of course, he's aroused. And it's primal. And it's like, but mine in audio is like, that was so good.
Yeah.
So good. That was yummy.
Yeah.
Hey, we're the rowdy group.
Sorry.
But
we're getting a little rowdy in here.
That's what I'm here for. So sorry but I love that you asked about Mafia, Key, because you just know me so well that you let us devolve into talking about Mafia. But
There's always room to talk about mafia.
This book was hard for me to listen to. If you like harder mafia books, the audiobook for Ruthless People was amazing. That book was, I don't love that book, but if you like harder mafia stuff, the Irish in that one, whoa. Like the hero's voice was so good. I just didn't like the book that much.
Love the audio, don't like the book.
Yeah. I mean, well, I just didn't like the characters, but a lot of people do. Like that was a buddy read I did with people, and all of them are like, "Oh, this is so good," and I was like, "They're scary."
Yeah. I feel like that about a lot of books. Sometimes the audio is so good, even if you don't love the book. Like I just read What the Wind Knows, and I didn't love that book, but the audio was fantastic.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The audio, if you have the right narrators, it can elevate the text to another level. You know, and I 100% believe that.
Yep.
No.
And I really love Cara Bastone. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope. Go ahead.
Cara Bastone lately. What was it? Is it Sweet Talk? I love her latest series because it seems like they really like written for audio. You know, so the hero and heroine meet over the phone, and those are like a full on like audiobook experience. I've really enjoyed those, and I was surprised. Like if I didn't notice that there wasn't any steam until it was over, and I was like, oh. But I thoroughly enjoyed that.
But you weren't mad at it.
Huh?
Says you weren't mad at it that there was no steam because the audio was so good.
It was so good. It was so good. Those are really good.
Like, is this me?
I know. I was like, who am I? But the chemistry and the development was there, and they're over, and you can hear the phone noises and everything like that. I love some of those like gems on Audible. Those are like really good. I think it was like The AI Who Loved Me. That was also a good audiobook production.
Yeah.
You know.
Is that one still exclusive to Audible too? AI Who Loved Me?
Sure.
I don't think there's an ebook of it, right? There's only an audio of The AI Who Loves Me.
There is an ebook.
There is an ebook. For a while, I think it was only on audio for a while. I haven't listened to it
made that better than the actual book. But the whole like just the ambient noises and was a full on experience. I loved that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we hit the hour mark and we need to do some giveaways. So that's very exciting. So in the comments, just start commenting away because we have how many audiobook codes do we have? And this is only for US only. We're sorry about that. It's exclusive from Podium. We have 3 audiobooks to give away, and I have 2 sets of signed copies of Wolf Gone Wild and Don't Hex and Drive. So we will be doing audiobooks first. So start commenting in the comments, and I'm going to randomly select the winner for the first audiobook. And
I'm
sad that I'm not watching this from home.
I know.
I'm just gonna if y'all want some, I'm just gonna give some to y'all. So don't worry about it.
I mean,
I'll just send some to y'all. It's okay.
I want mine tonight, Juliette. I need to order some.
I was like, I have my own copies, but I want your personal love on them.
To Jen, my favorite person in the world.
That's right.
Whoop whoop.
Jess Key, winner of the first audiobook giveaway. So I have Juliette's email link down in the description. So just shoot her an email, let her know, and she'll send you the audiobook code. I'm so excited. Okay, we still have 2 more left, so don't stop commenting because I'm just going to like randomly scroll through and pick somebody. So keep going.
This is so fun.
I know.
You guys are not prepared.
I love giving prizes, but I also love receiving prizes. Can I have a prize? No, just joking.
You get to know everything.
Okay, Melissa Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Second audiobook. Again, just email Juliette. And then now let's do some physical copies. These are both signed by Juliette. So, next winner.
I see stuff, see heaven.
Stacy.
Stacy.
Okay, Stacy, email me for that one because I'll be shipping those out for Juliette.
Congrats.
I am a prize. Wait, I want to highlight this comment. I am a prize to show.
You're right.
Battling Brooke, you're
All
right.
right. We have one more audiobook giveaway, so keep commenting. Only if you have not received something. Can't do it again.
This is like Vegas. This is fun.
I know. That's cool. Y'all, can I tell you how excited I am? I'm thinking about, so Jamila has done the original prints for the, is that our winner?
Audiobook. So email Juliette and send her your info so she can send you that audiobook.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one more set of signed copies. So this will be the last giveaway of the night.
Thanks for hanging out with
I
us.
was just saying, I can't wait to see what Jamila creates for Witches Get Stitches. Because, like, I just give her the book and she creates something of the couple. Like, she'll pick a scene.
Oh, wow.
Isn't she awesome? Like, she's amazing.
She's
So
so
I just can't wait to see what she's going to do for Nico and
Babbling
Violet.
Brook.
Aww.
There we go.
Brooke
I'll
Gone
send y'all Brooke Gone Wild.
Nice.
I like it. I like it.
All right, guys. So for the physical books, if you won that, I will send that to you. And then Juliette will send you the audiobook codes if you won the audiobook. So
Yes.
very excited. I heard while I was randomly scrolling, I couldn't multitask, but you were talking about Jamila for her couple
Yes.
sketches.
Yes. And,
Those are like my favorites. I love those.
I know. And remember, she did a second one for Don't Hex and Drive where Dev is just kind of like leaning into her. And I'm kind of like, now I think I want her to go back and do that one. He's like,
So you know how like a
covering
guy
over
like
her.
leans over the girl, like she's leaning against like a wall or
Yes,
something,
I
and
saw
like
that
they
one.
have that one arm. That's what she drew for Dev and Isadora, and I was like,
in
I
her
need this
greenhouse
on my wall.
Yeah.
I-
I'm
in her
going
greenhouse.
to put it out in the universe that self-published books need to have step backs. I've said it before, and I say
Yes,
it again.
you
And they
have.
need to happen.
You have.
Especially because traditionally published is taking them away now, and it's fucking stupid that we don't get step backs anymore. So
Yeah.
traditionally published people should step in and fill the void.
Do they not know that we have a whole movement, Step Back Saturday? Like,
We will know. Do they know about this?
That's
Do they
true.
know about this?
Can you
Like-
imagine like a mafia book with a step back in it? Like if
Oh
you
my God.
Mm-hmm.
I would love Devraj in a step back. Oh my God, he's so
Yeah.
dreamy. Like maybe
Yes.
like feeding her in the kitchen.
oh my
Like,
gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
He is my baby. I love Devraj so much.
Do Devraj. Like, I just cannot even tell you. I'm dying.
Or maybe
I'm
like,
dying.
you know, like you can get a signed book plate for your book. We should be able to get like a step back that we can paste in the book, so it's for us. Because then you don't have to like publish it with
DIY
a
step back.
It could be expensive.
All right.
I want to make this
Giant.
happen.
Okay.
please,
Need
you
to
are
work on
the power. Please make it happen.
I'm going to get right on that, y'all. That won't be hard at all.
Juliette, start a trend. Start a
All
trend.
we have to do is we
I'm
are
not
able to
going to tell
order
you
the book.
my writing schedule this year. Like,
We'll be able to, we'll be able to order the book and then order a print, and we can put it in ourselves. Like I'm not saying that you print it that way. I'm saying you make them, and then there's
I just need to make like get a sticker, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do it yourself. Step back.
we used to have that in like
They would
you
look
get a-
so professional too.
Yeah.
We're not amateurs.
Yeah.
We're amateurs.
Well, now you've got me thinking. I'm like, can we do
Yeah.
that?
That's really
Is
my
this a
idea.
thing? Can it
we
happen?
would do it in the book
we
box.
would get better. We would,
Like
we
we
would
would get a book box
practice.
and it would have a book plate for you to put
Yeah.
in your book. That's
That
fine.
is a really good idea for
I
like
would
an
love that
extra
for
little.
the like a little. Oh God.
So you just add basically an extra blank page toward the front
Yeah.
by
So
the
then you
in
can
front of the like front page.
Yeah.
So people can
So,
compare.
Juliette, you're gonna have future book boxes for new
I think-
releases that
I'm
include
seriously
a
considering
sticker.
that.
I mean,
to put-
Nana Darling's doing it. I have that ready to pop when that drops on June 9th.
Really?
I'm buying that. Yeah, she did a book box for her villains books.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
coming with swag and everything. So
Yeah, Jess and
I
I
love that.
we brainstormed a little bit about boxes for the Stay a Spell series. We're
I
still
would
thinking.
buy all of it.
I would buy it so hard, Juliette.
Yeah.
I would buy
We
it
still
so
love
hard.
buying things. She still buys all the things.
I
And that would be
for the
such a
books that I
fun-
love, yeah, I do. Like
I wanted to buy the Steam box with Reel, but it's like It's like $90 because
I know that
and
one
it's
I'm
like,
passing,
oh,
but
you don't wanna pay
I
that
do.
much.
I just want to buy an autographed reel. That's all I want.
Yeah.
A Wolf Gone Wild box would be fun too. Like the Stay Still series box would be fun because there's so many. Like Evie's just so fun. You know what I mean? There's so much like comic book love, sci-fi love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
Nora
true.
loves.
A tea and a candle, and a little charm with the book. You could charge $50 for it. People will buy it. Boom. There we go.
There you go. Problem solved, Juliette.
For Isadora's book, I could spend a dildo, you know.
Oh my God.
That's what the
Absolutely.
does.
Big John.
Yeah.
You gotta have like the
Yeah,
tape
Big
over
John.
it and written Big John.
I've tried to figure out recipes from Don't Hex and Drive because I'm like, cooking
Yes.
for her, you know?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
My friends had to help me with that because of course I did not know. And so so one of my friends was like, okay, this would be popular, like good street food, like, but also good at home. And so that's the Dabili, like, so that's what I ended up using. And she like directed me to a good recipe. And yeah, that was so fun. Like, I loved writing that book.
Everyone
it was hard.
loves ideas. They all love ideas. Look at this $1 million idea here. I buy it.
$1 million ideas here. Awesome.
Seriously. If I had DIY set, because then not everybody has to buy one, but you just include a blank page. Like there's just a blank page.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants it, then they'll buy it from you.
Jen, you're like talking me into this. I don't know if it's your
It's a good idea.
What?
Juliette, if there's not a blank page in your future books, I'm gonna side eye you until you do it.
Well, I can totally change the print. I mean, it costs like a minimal fee, but still, I would do it if it was like worth it. You know.
More ideas here. More ideas. There you go. Are you working this out?
Y'all, speaking of cards, so I told Jessen, of course, she's like getting ready for this. She's like probably like, Juliette, stop fucking texting me. Because I was like, I had this idea like an hour before the show. I was thinking, because I'm editing Witches Get Stitches right now. And so there's a scene where I'm describing like the logo for the tattoo shop called Empress Ink. And it's like the tarot empress, but she's like winking. Like, you know, it's kind of a sassy tarot empress. So I want to get Jamila. I totally want Jamila to do this, the logo, and like have t-shirts for like Empress Ink. Would that be like fun?
That would be so fun.
I would wear that. I would buy that.
Yes. Because the Empress card is like she's got like the moon hanging over her and she's, you know, like a priestess looking. And anyway. I just think it would be gorgeous. And I know Jamila would do a good job. Everything she does. Yes, I know. I love tarot cards. There's a lot.
Me too.
There's lots of readings and Witches Get Stitches, y'all.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. There's a scene that Jessen almost demanded to be in there. And actually, it's like one of the funnest scenes. So
I love the readings that you have because that's the first thing that will take me out of a story because I read cards. So when so when I'm reading, I'm like, oh, okay. She knows what she's talking about. I was really like excited about that.
Well, one of my best friends is a psychic and she definitely knows she actually usually reads oracle cards, but she knows about tarot. So she helps me out and gives me feedback. So that helps.
Love it. Authentic experience.
So we're pushing for custom boxes and do-it-yourself step backs.
Okay. All right. It's on my list, y'all.
Seriously, I want that so bad because if one author does it first, then we can start getting book boxes to do it and people to do it where it's like you don't have to redesign completely your book. You just have to leave that page. And they do that for book boxes all the time. Like I'll get those books where they have the inserted pages.
Right.
All the time.
Jen, honestly, it's a brilliant idea because I don't know a lot of people I don't know anybody who's doing that yet. So might as well.
I give it to you. I just want to print book.
I appreciate that. Well, I've already got like Jamila's illustration, but I'd have to,
just turn them into stickers.
You could resize it to fit.
Turn them into stickers.
I'm sure she would resize it to fit in like trade to be like.
I think honestly, I could probably just do it with one of these. I mean, I couldn't do it with Vistaprint. I don't think they do stickers like that. That's where I get like the postcards and prints and stuff.
Oh, yeah. In Bay Crate, like in a Bay Crate, they would do these little character cards that would fit. And then there's like a book plate. It's like if this was like
By the way, I love Amanda Boucher. She is one of the nicest human beings, y'all. She is so nice.
Stick it. Like you can just make it a sticker and then you gotta step back. Boom. See?
All right.
We've done it. We've done it.
Look, I'm serious.
Great
like,
ideas.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna see what I can do. Even
Imagine
if I can do like
doing that
I'll do a
with this.
small.
You're
Oh my
like,
god! Don't even show it.
imagine
I love that book. My
Like,
God, Milla
it
Vane.
need like this, like yeah. And just dang it, I shouldn't give away my good ideas, but I mean, I'm not gonna do
Instead
it.
of praise for the author, we don't care. Give us our step back. We don't care about that.
Yeah, we just want somebody step back.
Got it.
was such a tease. My mind just went through so many scenes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, like
We're easily distracted
I
tonight.
don't want that scene, but yeah.
All right, ladies. Well, this was a good time. I mean, we're always a good time whenever it's us together. So thank you so much for being on this with us. Thank you, Juliette, for writing such an awesome series that I'm totally obsessed with. And I cannot wait for Witches Get Stitches. I'm so excited about it.
I can't wait either. Dying. So excited.
I'm excited too. I'm excited for y'all to meet them. Oh my God. Yeah.
When's the
Thanks, guys.
official release date for
It's July 20th, but I can tell you guys that it's going to be up on NetGalley probably in a week and a half.
Yes.
So very soon. And of course, y'all are going to be approved. So
Yeah, I was like, I will bug you every fucking day.
approve my shit now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all made it amazing, especially with all those suggestions for custom book boxes. And I mean,
I want the plush zombie
great.
cat. That was a
I'm
good
cloning
idea.
myself
Yes.
so that I can make that happen. Yeah.
I want it.
exactly. All right, guys. Everyone, have a good night. Thank y'all.